This video is on question 4 of the 2012 TSA paper. And here we're asked which option can be reliably concluded from the information given. So this is a variant on the type of question which asks us which option can be drawn as a conclusion from the passage. And as in those questions, what we're looking for is something that's not said explicitly in the passage. Rather, we have to draw something from the passage. So here's the passage that we're given. We're first told that 1 in every 10 adults in the UK have had a piercing that's not on their earlobe. And 28% of these suffered complications, while 1% suffered very serious complications and actually ended up in hospital. And this is according to a survey of 10,000 adults. The author says that body piercing is 3 times more common in women than in men, and that while navel piercings are common among women, nipple piercings are common among men. They note that swelling, infection, and bleeding are common side effects, and tongue piercings are the most risky non-earlobe piercings. And finally, serious complications mostly occur with piercings that are done by non-specialists. And moreover, in other countries, people have been infected with, for example, HIV. So that's the passage that we're given. And you might notice that every single sentence of the passage is a fact. And this is indicated by the question which asks us that the passage, or rather which tells us that the passage consists in information. So how do we go about dealing with this massive information that we're given? Well, we probably want to ask ourselves, what is the focus of the passage? What is the passage focusing on? And the focus of the passage seems to be on complications due to non-earlobe piercings. So this seems to be the focus of the passage. So this should help us when we're trying to work out what the passage is really saying, or at least what are the most important parts of it. And with that in mind, let's try and group these boxes. So we said that the focus of the passage was on complications, and you might notice that sentences 3 and 4 are the only sentences not relevant to complications. So we don't have to focus on those. What about sentences 1, 2, and 5? Well, 1, 2, and 5 seem to be making the basic point that many people suffer from complications. And sentence 6 and 7 seem to be saying that having non-earlobe piercings done by a non-specialist tends to lead to serious complications. So the stuff that's in the passage, which is relevant to complications, the focus of the passage, are written in green here. And you might notice that this second point contains the fact that complications are happening. But it also makes the point that these complications are tending to arise from non-earlobe piercings done by non-specialists. So this seems to be the focus of the passage. So now we've got a clearer picture of the focus of the passage. Let's take a look at some options to see which one can be reliably drawn from the information given. So here we have our options, and here we have the focus of the passage. Let's take each one by one. Option A says that good piercers give their customers advice, for example, about how to care for a piercing, and in order to minimize the risk of infection. Now, just because most complications tend to come from piercings done by non-specialists, this does not mean that specialists, or good piercers, give their customers advice. So option A doesn't follow. What about option B? Option B says that no one should ever get a body piercing because the risk of getting a body piercing far outweighs the benefit. Now, nowhere in the passage does the author mention facts relating to the benefits of body piercing. And so this is irrelevant. It's not something that can be drawn as a conclusion. What about C? Well, this says that nothing can be reliably concluded because the survey sample used was too small. Now, if we take a look back at the passage, it's not even clear that the main point about complications comes from the survey. However, even if it does, the survey mentioned is a survey of 10,000 adults. In other words, hardly too small to draw reliable conclusions from. So, option C, which says that nothing can be reliably concluded because the survey sample was too small, is simply wrong. Well, what about option D? Option D says that people who want a body piercing should go to a reputable piercer. Well, let's take a look at the focus of the passage. The focus of the passage is that piercings done by non-specialists tend to result in complications. So it seems to follow from this that if people don't want complications, they should go to a specialist rather than a non-specialist. So D does seem to follow from the information given. But let's quickly dismiss E. Option E says that the government should regulate body piercers more strictly in order to reduce the number of complications. Now, this doesn't seem to follow from the passage. Perhaps the author thinks there would be complications in the government interfering, and so wouldn't advocate such regulation. In any case, it doesn't follow from the facts and can't be concluded. So that leaves option D as the correct option.